You're watching Taste of Victory.
What's up, everybody? The first North America BT8 regional hosted by Carta Magica just ended, and it was without starter decks. So let's go ahead and see how that ended up affecting the meta. Here on DigimonMeta.com, we have 5 of the top 8 lists provided for us, and then the rest will be filled in by, I'm assuming, Bandai or Carta Magica when they tweet them out later today. So if we look just at a glance, we see that the very first 3 of top 8 alone is yellow, and that is going to be yellow hybrids. Because yellow hybrids is one of the easiest decks in the format to upgrade, because really all you do is you slot in some tech choices and then Rapidmon, 4 of Rapidmon, because it adds so much aggression that the deck was otherwise missing, because you usually just recover up. But now if we look at this list, we actually see the 4 of Rapidmon that helps it. And this one is really interesting. This was by Samzo, who ended up winning first place the entire event. And we see we have a bit of a shine package going on here. Now that is something I did not see a lot of discussion of when we were talking about and deck building. Everyone was speculating what was going to be topping in this format. But we see that they have, what was their eggs? I'm interested in that. For some weird reason, it doesn't seem DigimonMeta.com gave the eggs, at least not for this list. I really doubt it wasn't running any eggs. It was probably either 4 of Cupidmon or 4 of Upamon. It has to be one of those, you know, and then maybe a 1 of the other. But anyways, we have the Salamon, we have the pretty standard list up until we get the Shine package. We did not expect 2 of the Rise Greymon, and then we have 2 Shine Greymon with Dynasmon. So this is a really, really traditional Booster Set 7 hybrid list upgraded for Booster Set 8, because the Dynasmon was something a lot of people were experimenting with back in BT7. We only have the 1 of Susanomon. A lot of people like 2 for the mirror. And yeah, the biggest upgrade for Booster Set 8 is basically 4 Cody, 4 Rapidmon, because that lets you clear boards. And previously you kind of just like grind them out and poke away an opponent and then hope that your Schwartz or whatever the purple option was in Booster Set 7 would clear board for you. But that could be played around, or that could not always be in security, or you have to pay full memory to cast it. But now you have a memory efficient card like Rapidmon that only costs 4. And then you have Patamon, you basically make it 3 when you delete something. So, and then Cody giving you an extra memory on top of your memory tamer to make sure you don't pass turn regardless. Like, it gives so much aggression to this deck to clear board. It's amazing. Rapidmon is a gigantic upgrade. It's going to make this one of the best decks in the entire meta, even after we get starter decks, because it's taking up top 3 without it. After that, in second place, we get another Yellow Hybrids list. This one seems to be also running the Shine package. It's really surprising to see how much of it was represented at the tournament. It's not something I actually expected. But yeah, we have the Eden's Javelin, which is a card debated a lot with Wyvern's Breath, but it looks like they ran both of them. So that's interesting. And then you have the 2 Susanomon, as mentioned previously. A lot of people like that for the mirror. Otherwise, a pretty standard list. This one going with 4 Cupidmon instead of the 4 Upamon. You also have the Ophanimon there with no purple sources. You're not going to delete anything, but you kind of just want the recovery and then able to cycle something out of trash when it's deleted. So that's nice to keep up momentum. Then third place, we have yet another Yellow Hybrids list. This one was by Mike Berger. And then we have the 4 of Upamon not running a 5th egg. I wonder what the reasoning is for people that are only running the 4 eggs, because I think like both of them have their utility in the game, so you kind of want to go to the grind game, you want that extra draw. But if there's like an actual reason that people aren't running the 5th egg, I'd be interested in hearing. Then we have 3 of Wyvern's Breath and the 4 of Eden's Javelin. This one definitely wants to be more aggressive and have security bombs in it. We have the 2 Susanomon again. It's really interesting that the one with only 1 Susano ended up winning the entire event, because a lot of people were teching 2 for the mirror. But after that, that is top 3. We go down to 7th place, which is actually a red list. Now guys, get ready for this. This was Tyler Huber, and this was 7th place with red Ancient Greymon OTK. And look, if you've seen Huang's video on it on his channel, shout out to Huang Zero, he's got the 4 Alterous Mode Metal Greymon tech. Now this is awesome. You got Hero in here, which is fantastic as a 1-up for your additional memory tamer in addition to tie. This is so cool. You have the Crimson Blaze to answer something in case your opponent's deck goes wide. It's really great, because what this deck does is Ancient Greymon gains security attack +1 for each Greymon in its sources, and Alterous lets you Digivolve over level 5 for 1. So you can just hide in Raising Area, Digivolve up to your level 4, Digivolve up to your level 5, you know, go into an Altamon, get its amazing inheritable effect that shuts off security options, and then you go into Alterous mode. You just keep Digivolving over him until you see all the pieces that you need, or until you're sure you could get game, and then you just push out, Digivolve into Ancient Greymon, delay your memory boost, you know, and then go into this and just OTK. Then you have Omnimon in hand because you were waiting in Raising Area the whole time. So you grab Onimon and you get the last security with that. So this is awesome to see. This guy top 8, 7th place. Congratulations to you, Mr. Tyler, for getting a Nationals invite with this deck. This is so cool. A lot of this deck was, a lot of the top decks we were seeing are kind of just upgrades from booster set 7, which is interesting because keep in mind, Carta Magica was only 2 days. Yes, we had pre-release a week earlier, but only 2 days after when the official release for most of North America is. That was a really short notice to get decks. So like, yeah, people had to scramble for decks. So I don't know how much that is of the power level of these decks being able to keep up, or how much that is a lot of people just couldn't get the new cards in time. So take Old Reliable with you, you know? But I think this is definitely a deck that can still see results going forward, even with the other starter decks, because like I said, this deck isn't really playing the game against your opponent much. You're kind of just solitaring and drawing through your pieces until you can finally move out and have your full Exodia combo to chip away at all of your opponent's security in one turn, you know? So this is kind of an evergreen deck that I think will always do really good as long as the meta doesn't speed up to ridiculous degrees. I think the only thing this would really struggle with would maybe be Imperial, just because it's such a fast deck and able to OTK as well. But you do have the Crimson Blaze, so maybe up that to 4, and if they get greedy and swing with jamming Vmon, you clear their board, you know? So that's awesome to see this get 7th place. After that, we got 8th place, and 8th place is going to be a blue deck. And 8th place was Chris Sock with Blue Hybrids. And yeah, there you go. Because of the short time in between set release and the actual tournament, a really good option was just bringing the top BT7 decks and upgrading them for Booster Set 8. If we look through the list, I don't think there's a single card here from Booster Set 8, but it also makes sense because if you look through Blue's cards in Booster Set 8, a lot of it is DNA Digivolution support or Imperial Dramon support specifically, so there isn't really a lot you could slot into here that you would even want, you know? Maybe TK would be the most generic blue tamer you would slot into here from Booster Set 8, but even then, like, how many people are actually going to be swinging into your blue suspended Digimon instead of just removing them outright, you know? Because a lot of the game is OTKing now or controlling through DP minus with yellow hybrids. Plus we have 4 Siako still, but not 4 Madoki Betamon, which I think is really interesting because especially in a Booster Set 8 without starter decks format, Madoki Betamon, which would turn off memory boost, which a lot of yellow decks we saw were running. And purple decks are also running with Missed Memory Boost. So, but otherwise, this is just straight up a BT7 list. So it's really cool. You know, if you're worried about getting cards, you could always just upgrade Booster Set 7. Like, some people worry about decks getting phased out every new set, but no, hybrids are still great. 4th place was another blue hybrids list. Let's take a look if anything is different. There's that Madoki Betamon I was wondering about earlier. It is included in this list. And it looks like we do have one new card here from Booster Set 8, Innocence Blizzard. I forgot this card even existed. Trash the bottom Digivolution card of all of your opponent's Digimon, then up to 3 of your opponent's Digimon with no sources can't attack or block until the end of your opponent's next turn. Okay, so that seems like a really strong card. I'm surprised to not see more discussion of that card, but I guess a lot of people wouldn't have taken blue hybrids otherwise, which is why there probably wasn't a lot of discussion to update the list. If we go back to DigimonMeta.com, the 5th place list was another yellow hybrids list. If we go to 6th place, we see that was Beelstarmon. So Beelstarmon is really underrated in this meta, and some people like Huang Zero have actually been vouching for it, because if you look at yellow hybrids, it has one of the best matchups into it, because like they can control your board, sure, but what are you doing in the late game once you can play free Beelstar after free Beelstar and recycle them with Calling from Darkness? They could either like go so wide you can't answer it, or you run out of rapid mons, or they can keep recycling their Jinkakumon promote with Rush to keep attacking you. So this was CardfightKing. Congratulations to them on their 6th place finish with Beelstarmon. That is definitely amazing. I will not be showing off the whole list out of respect to them, since they do have a video, you know, with the actual list. So definitely that will be linked in the description below. If you want to get the full list, go ahead and click there to see their Beelstarmon list. But if we take a quick look, the basic rookie package, their Jinkakumon promotes to be able to recycle pretty much what you expect of Beelstar, and then Sword has really great value because of the ability to delete tamers in a meta where yellow hybrids and blue hybrids was expected to have a lot of representation. So if you want to see the full list, check that out in the description below. If we keep going, we have Medbay 20th place with yellow hybrids. So yellow hybrids is rounding up basically the entire top and bottom of the tournament, all the way in between as well. We see a yellow hybrid list shown here. Pretty standard fare, other than I think the Eden's Javelin, which is starting to become a bit more popular and will probably become standard soon. For memory boost makes a lot of sense, so there's another yellow hybrids list. Then we have Limit Breaks Lichi with top 32 Black War Greymon. So as we saw in top 8, Black War Greymon did not make the cut. X Antibody got 9th place. I don't know if there is a list out, but the person who won it, I believe his name is Joseph, was talking in Huang Zero's Discord about how he placed just barely outside of the top 8 with 9th Antibody, I believe. If I'm mistaken, it is somewhere within top 16, so there was an X Antibody in there, relying on Breath of the Gods to make it against the yellow hybrid deck list. But to get back on track, Black War Greymon was predicted to be really good call into this meta because yellow hybrids and blue hybrids are going to be represented a lot since we had no starter decks. Maybe there's some in top 16 that we just haven't seen yet. I heard lists are going up tomorrow, but as far as we've seen with top 8, it did not get any representation in top 8 in a meta where it was expected to be really great into. And then here we have it in top 32, however. The reason for that, I'm not quite sure, but here we see the top end, 4 of each, I'm assuming, and then you go through it.
Quick rundown.
Pretty basic base, and we see their megas. And again, I will not be showing the rest of this list, just get a quick idea of what they're running. That you can find that link in the description below instead. And that is what we're going to have for now of Carta Magica's starter deck list tournament regional. However, we do have a 76-person tournament that also took place over the weekend to go over, and this was Pro Play Games Momocon tournament. So they did host an event there within the convention. This was 76 people. There was best of 3, but it also did allow mulligans. So the interesting thing here is the starter decks were allowed here since this was primarily just an event here in North America, so we had access to them. But with mulligans, with starter decks, we still see a giant representation in top 16 for yellow hybrids, 5 of the top 16's place, including first place itself. Congratulations to James Olieri. We see second place, however, was Imperial Dramon, and the second most represented deck as well was Imperial Dramon. After that, we have Purple Yellow Monstermon tying with Armor Rush for the second most representation within top 16. Third place was another Imperial Dramon list. So a lot of people predicted Imperial Dramon to be the best deck in the format, and that is definitely still possible. We see here it doing very well still, but it just has a hard matchup into yellow hybrids, unfortunately, because you just either blow them out with your security or you just clear their board and outlast them in the long grind game. Imperial Dramon has the hope to hit security just right and high roll you to OTK in one turn, otherwise you run away with the momentum and out grinding them. This is even with mulligans for both Monstermon and Imperial Dramon, which improves the decks a lot since they are very piece reliant and they're still coming out just below yellow rapid hybrids. If we scroll down, we see the full placement of top 16. First was yellow hybrid, then it was second and third with Imperial Dramon. Then we see yellow war gray hybrid, so having a more aggressive top end than the traditional yellow hybrid deck. Then we see yellow hybrid also taking 5th and 6th place. So that is 4 with some variation within top 8 itself. Imperial Dramon only taking 2 off the top 8. But we do see Monstermon sneaking in there. We see ancient blue hybrid, so that's cool that they're using ancient Garurumon on that list. After that, we see Armor Rush just barely missed out at 9th. Monstermon again in 10th. Then we have more Imperial Dramon, yellow rapid hybrid down there. Armor Rush, Beelstar once again making it into top 16 to show that it is able to compete pretty well with the top decks in this format if you know how to pilot it and build it well. Then we end off with Red Hybrid, another one in a separate event making it to top 16, showing that that is a really great deck because it has a lot of answers to stuff like yellow hybrids. And finally, another yellow rapid hybrid, by far the most representation in top 16 of Momocon PPG Tour. So yeah, yellow hybrid is the deck to beat. You know, you want to adjust your text to address that because yellow hybrid is basically built almost specifically to counter the expected Imperial Dramon onslaught that we were expecting with starter decks. So this is probably going to be the picture we keep seeing more or less as we go forward in tournaments. Rapid taking up a large majority of the top spots, followed just barely by Imperial Dramon. But I'm sure as we get more and more into the meta and discover and experiment more, this is definitely going to fluctuate a lot because still, even with yellow hybrid being the best deck, there's always going to be some kind of best deck, you know, no matter what. It's a card game, but we still see tons of variation within. This is a great looking diverse top 16 to me, and I love this so far, coming off of BT7 where it was just like loop, blue hybrid, yellow hybrid, that's it. So as people get more familiar with these decks, how to pilot them, how to build them, we'll see more variety. Also keep in mind, this was the exact same weekend as the set dropped, like literally 1 and 2 days after it. So a lot of this has to be with getting access to the product soon enough. Like people probably did not just have access to it yet. So what we saw represented here was just what people were able to get their hands on the easiest. So as we go forward, I do expect to see a lot more diversity as people get the actual cards and learn the matchups. But that is going to be the video. This was very interesting to see how starter decks affect it, or how much it may not even affect it that much. I think the only real big change that we'll see is a drop off of blue hybrids, because Imperial Dramon has a lot of ways to get out of their stun effects, so Blue Hybrid kind of falls off a little bit there. Same thing with Monstermon, because they are DNA Digivolution decks. So really, I don't think Rapid Hybrid's success is attributed to not having starter decks. I think that was really mostly Blue Hybrids, and then the 1 or 2 Red Hybrids that we saw popping up, so those will probably fall off. But other than extra Blue Hybrid representation, I think this won't be too drastic of a change. To see the top deck representation, I think the only thing that'll really hugely changed is a lot more Imperial Dramon representation within top 16, top 32. Definitely more X antibody representation, because I think that was also an issue of just not having the cards in time, and then probably a little bit more Mastamon, but I do think without mulligans it's a bit too bricky to really go far in tournaments. But yeah, I think X antibody players should not be discouraged by these results, because again, people just did not have their stuff in time, and with Breath of the Gods, all you really need is one well-timed Breath of the Gods, and with all the security checks that deck can do, you can run away with that one Breath of the Gods and start winning. So I definitely think people should keep these results in context of how close this was to set release. No starter decks being available for Carta. Momocon did have them though, but yeah, I think we'll be seeing more X antibody going forward, and that shouldn't discourage players from this deck. I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know what you think of these results and what you are expecting in the next 2 weeks we have of regionals. Remember to stay hungry until you get a taste of victory.